Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome on behalf of Khalid Times, Nutanix, and GBM. We welcome you to get to another exclusive boardroom, this one specially highlighting the digital revolution in the BFSI sector of Qatar. Over the past year, Qatar Central Bank has issued a range of directives that clearly signal Qatar's intent to align with global best practices in terms of prudent market regulation, covering areas such as IFRS 9 and Basel III. They have also addressed topical subjects affecting the banking industry today, including the Financial Action Task Force evaluation of Qatar, which is expected to align next year and will trigger an independent review of anti-money laundering and sanction compliance rules. Owing to the pandemic, digitization is transforming business throughout the world. There have always been four key drivers behind the success of these efforts: improving customer engagement, digitizing products, and exploring new business models, improving decision-making, and driving operational efficiencies. The BFSI sector of Qatar has successfully implemented all these four key drivers. The value creation opportunities in each of these areas are enormous and have been recognized by the Qatar BFSI companies as they have quickly learned the technology in digital transformation is often the most critical part of change. But the change doesn't come without challenges. Insufficient migration capabilities, managing multi-cloud complexity, unpredictable application performance, and security continue to remain roadblocks to organizations as data moves back and forth between corporate networks and the cloud. Without any doubt, the entire region, especially Qatar, is witnessing a historic breakthrough that will take the country on an unprecedented transformational journey. The rapid adoption of digital initiatives promoted by Qatari government will set the foundation for the nation's economic model of the future, which we anticipate will be mostly driven by innovation and emerging technologies. So does that mean that COVID has been a catalyst in causing this evolution? I shall let you, the esteemed attendees of today's boardroom, be the judge for that. We live in a symbiotic world, learning, understanding, confiding into our industry peers, and that is why exactly all these boardrooms and botinas have been so successful. This platform offers an opportunity to form a community of like-minded business and tech leaders and get inspired by the vision of a better and technically driven future of the BFSI sector. This digital boardroom will not only discuss the impact of automation and digitization of businesses in the exponentially driven government and public sector, but will also highlight the barriers of adoption, such as security, mass adoption, culture shift, mindset shift, and many more. So without further ado, I would like to invite our co-host, Nutanix and GBM, who has helped us set up this initiative together today. I would like to welcome Mr. Tamer Rial, Regional Manager, Northern Gulf, Levant and Egypt, Nutanix. Welcome, Mr. Tamer, to today's boardroom, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Good morning. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tamer Rial. I'm Nutanix Regional Manager for North Gulf and Levant. I'm with Nutanix. Actually, in a couple of months, I'm going to celebrate 8th year in Nutanix, inshallah. In these years, actually, I did witness the growth of Nutanix. We were around 450 employees. Now we are more than 6,000 employees. We had at that time around 3,000 customers. Now we are more than 14,000 customers. Also, I did witness the transformation in the market where they transformed from traditional infrastructure to HCI, to cloud-like solutions, to the enterprise cloud. In Middle East, we have hundreds of customers who did acquire Nutanix for many reasons. and for many different workloads. Mainly, I think the main the main factor was the simplicity, and I believe today they will talk much about it, our gentlemen. It's very good opportunity actually today that we hear from each other, we hear from our peers, we hear the challenges which each of us has, especially that with the current pandemic, the way doing business has been changed. So thank you very much again for joining us today, and I hope it's going to be useful for all of us.
Thank you very much, Tamer. Thank you very much. I would like to call now Mr. Hiten Mehta, Sales Manager from GBM Qatar. Welcome, Mr. Hiten.
My name is Hiten Mehta. I'm the Sales Manager in GBM, looking after the banking and financial sector. I have been with GBM for 13 years. Previous to that, I was also working in the banking arena. So many of the guests that we have, I'd like to welcome, who I pretty much know, working in the banking sector for these many years. So I'd like to welcome them all. GBM is one of the leading systems integration partners in the region. We have offices around the Middle East. For Qatar, we are around 200 people within Qatar. And within these 13 years, we've obviously seen a lot of changes in terms of integration, in terms of technology. And one of the leading changes in this is obviously due to the pandemic, people working from home, people interacting with customers digitally. So this has brought a lot of changes into the technology arena. So welcome all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hiten, for a brief introduction. Now for the icebreaker session, I would request everyone, each one of you, to please switch on your camera so that we can put a face to the name and we can click on one virtual photograph. Thank you very much. I would request, if each one of you can give a brief introduction about yourself, a quick introduction of a minute, and the challenges you have faced during these unprecedented times. And what do you expect to gain out of today's digital boardroom? So with that, I would like to start the introduction. First of all, by thanking each and every one of you for taking out time today to talk to us, and also, fill up the pre-survey questionnaire. Today's questions will be based on the survey itself. And without further ado, we will take this discussion forward. I would now like to invite Mr. Anand Prabhu Selva Kumar from Qatar Insurance Group. He is the head of system architecture and security. Anand, over to you for a brief introduction and your expectations from this boardroom.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anand. I'm working with Qatar Insurance Group for the past 13 years. I'm heading a team of infrastructure and security professionals. Prior to that, I was working with, United States Bank. Then I moved to Qatar and working with Qatar Insurance Company. In today's sessions, I have primarily 3 expectations. One is I want to hear the thoughts from other peers. So what they think about, how they handle the security and cloud onboarding for end users during this pandemic. Second is I want to note down any technology adoption that other peers have adapted in the recent months. And third, obviously, to get connected with them. So these are the 3 expectations from my side. Hear thoughts from the peoples, note down their any technology adoption, and get connected to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anand. Now I would like to invite Mr. Tamer Yusri Tharawat. He's from Qatar Development Bank and he's the head of IT governance. Tamer, over to you.
Yes, my name is Tamer and I am working in QDB. I think Hiten I work closely with Hiten for the past 8 years. So he knows me very well. I am heading the IT governance and technology transformation. Some of the various sections are coming under my supervision, like omnichannel, like architecture, IT architecture, governance, and IT security. I'm looking forward to communicate with the leaders from the same region, and I have an expectation to hear about their success in the adoption of the new technologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamer. Thank you very much. I would like to invite Mr. Suresh Kumar. Mr. Suresh is from Ali Bank. He's the head of IT and security department.
I'm Suresh from Ali Bank. I'm the head of IT over here. Generally, I manage the IT department, all the IT processes, and I'm also responsible for the digital transformation strategy of the bank, the implementation, and the planning, the implementation, and the execution. So we have a long-standing relationship with GBM and IBM. Now, my expectation basically is just to understand from my peers on some of the challenges that we as an industry are facing currently. And, like in terms of projects and stuff, we're not able to bring resources on board. So how are we working around those type of challenges? And then also to look at the change, how are we looking at the change in mindset in terms of the end users, right? From a long-term perspective, how can we turn this pandemic into an opportunity to digitize more things? So yes.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And we hope that during the course of our discussion, we learn all these things. We are also joined today by John Mancarios, Vice President IT for Q Invest.
Hi, everyone. My name is John. I am Vice President IT at Q Invest Bank. We are an Islamic investment bank in Qatar here. Mainly, I'm responsible for all the infrastructure projects from design perspective, cloud transformation, digital transformation, and IT governance as well. My expectation from this session is to exchange experience with my peers and see how other institutions are doing from cloud transformation perspective, specifically with the challenges we are facing nowadays.
Thank you, John. Thank you. We are also joined today by Mohammed Amar Baikada. He's the head of enterprise projects and architecture at Mashraf Al Rayan. Welcome on board, Mohammed, and just give us a brief introduction about yourself and what are your expectations from today's discussion.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to thank you to having me on board in this discussion. As you said, as Poonam said, I'm the head of enterprise projects and architecture in Mashraf Al Rayan. I've been with the bank for the past almost 10 years now. I think ever since the pandemic started on us, we've had some severe changes in regards to regulation. There have been a lot of regulations being issued by the central bank, mainly in regards to data security, operational security part, also system security. And there is a kind of challenge in meeting these new regulations while trying to, you have the work from home, and there are a lot of challenges with the work from home with the internal synergy part. So I think these are part of the challenges that I would like to see if my peers have faced this and how they have overcome it.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed. I would like to now invite Mr. Anup Ashkar. Mr. Anup works for Dukhan Bank. He's the head of PMO.
Thank you, Poonam. Good morning, everyone. It's been an honor to be part of this board meeting representing Dukhan Bank. Just to give a brief of Dukhan Bank, we were busy with the merger a couple of years back. I was leading that program for at that time we were Boa Bank. The two banks which were merged was International Bank of Qatar and the New Gen Bank, Boa Bank, and we formed Dukhan Bank. So we successfully completed this in November 2019, and we started our digital journey in 2020. But see the luck, when we started it, the COVID was behind us. So even though we were the late ones, I would say, to put in a positive way, COVID actually accelerated our digital journey to move faster and to ensure that our customers have given seamless services. So it actually, I would say, was a very positive. So because we had a quick team formed, a strategy aligned, a myriad of initiatives. We had a clear strategy of optimization as a phase one and transformation as phase two. And a lot of projects are undergoing in that area now. So you might hear in the news, already some of them already out and some coming up and very soon. So that's a really exciting part of what's happening in the digital area. For sure, there are challenges and constraints. And one of the things which I would like to hear from the peers and the colleagues is that how is the cloud and the fintech? You know, the fintechs are also coming out in the market and disrupting the market in the digital area. They have been trying to enter with innovative and cutting edge solutions. So how are the banks dealing with? For example, we have been looking at fintechs and seeing, how we can partner with them. Is it the right strategy? How do we evaluate them? What is the best way? I know there is a gentleman from QDB here. QDB has been doing some fintech sessions and we are actively involved with them and really happy that they are here in part of this meeting. Second one is the cloud. Cloud, it's most of the fintechs or the leading solution providers want us to go into cloud. But as one of my colleagues, Sultan, said, the regulation here doesn't support that completely. So what are the ways we can involve the QCB and regulation to support us and move forward, not just reducing the cost part in the infrastructure, but also to move faster to the customers in solutions, because cloud enables you to do that. And finally, with cloud, that depends on the security. What are the challenges and how we can ensure that we are up to date and on par in the security, because we are also doing a lot of security to support our data, which is a clear and the most important thing which we need to safeguard. So I'd like to hear from them and see what are the ways they're mitigating this kind of challenges. Thank you, Poonam.
Thank you very much, Anup. I think during the course of our discussions, because I have gone through the pre-survey questionnaires, we should be able to, relate to all your questions. Peter, over to you. Peter Grant is from Nutanix. Just a brief introduction and we will start our, today's discussion form.
Thanks, Poonam. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Grant. I'm the Systems Engineering Manager for Nutanix in the North Gulf and Egypt. So I work closely with Tamer Rael. I've been with the company almost 5 years. I worked in London for a long time, including for a number of banks, UBS, Royal Bank of Scotland, and so forth. And when I was working for Nutanix in London, my largest customer that I worked very closely with was one of their leading global banks. So I've been working either directly or quite closely with the financial industry for a number of years. And I'm really looking forward to today to hearing and sharing some thoughts with people on this call. I think it's really exciting times. There's so much technology at our fingertips. You've got machine learning, AI, all these wonderful tools, and I'll be interested to hear people's thoughts on how they are looking to adopt these.
I think you rightly said, we all are living in an extremely challenging time. Before we move forward, we also have Moritz joined. He's the head of infrastructure and support from Al Khalij Commercial Bank. Welcome on board, Moritz. If you can just give us a brief introduction about yourself and what are your expectations from today's boardroom, and then we will take on this discussion.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Miroslav Moritz. I'm heading infrastructure and support here in Al Khalij Commercial Bank. I've been doing this for quite some time, about 20 years maybe. I mean, not in Al Khalij, but in the industry. There are lots of challenging, let's say, things around these days, not just to talk about the pandemic, but technologically wise speaking. There are so many new things. So I think that this boardroom meeting is so good to understand that how the other industry experts field, they see today's challenges. So it can give us ideas, and it can give us a common understanding of which are those things which can actually move us forward. Are we on the right track or not? Maybe we are doing something wrong, you never know. And it's basically very good to see so many experts in one table, I believe, just to share ideas and see how things
thank you.
can go
Welcome on
forward.
board. Anand, would you like to say a few words about how do you see the future of financial and insurance services is in the cloud? What are your thoughts on it? Because I think among you are from the insurance industry. So how do you see the future of financial and insurance services is in the cloud?
On this question, I would like to answer it from an IT perspective. Okay, there are a few things that I would look at it. One is there is a growing gap between the on-premise and cloud capabilities, right? So the new features are readily available on the cloud. There are so many products from Microsoft, Oracle, and also other players are already proven that they are releasing more new features on the cloud, and they don't even provide us a roadmap for the on-prem environment. Okay, that's one point that really pushes us to the cloud. And second thing is building a solid proof on-prem data center is becoming challenging because of the rapidly changing technology, right? So one of the technology like that we have adapted a few years back is Kubernetes environment containerization platform. It's a very good example where building such an environment on-prem is really challenging for the team, but in the cloud, it's becoming really easy and quickly available for the development, right? So apart from insurance, as a Qatar insurance company, we also evolved as a technology company, right? So that's the one point I want to share with other peers. All the applications that is being used by Qatar Insurance Group and its 14 entities are all developed in-house. All those 14 products, whether it's related to payroll, human resource, or any insurance product that you see on the online, they're all developed by our own team. We own the pattern of it. That's the reason why Qatar Insurance has evolved into a technology company from the last year onwards. So we started a technology company, and our products we are now selling into the market.
I think that's really interesting, and we see a future where we see a lot of integration between fintechs and the BFSI and the banks. Anup, my next question is over to you. How will you rate the impact of cloud enterprise on your organization?
Yeah, see, it's more than the impact, Poonam. It's more about the need of the hour, right? Because earlier you could have said that cloud is coming, it's the future, right? But now it's a present. It's a pain for us because when I go and talk to a fintech or a leading company of who's doing outside the world in Qatar, in the US, Europe, Singapore, they said our solution is hosted in hosted in cloud. And when we start working a proposal with them to partner with them to bring that technology or service or the solution to the Qatar market, we are having the challenges from the central bank, mainly on the regulation part of it, saying that what kind of data you have to be exposed, what are the controls. So it kind of derails and delays it. So we really want to move forward on the cloud, but we need the support from the regulation and to make sure that we can move faster on this area and catch up with the leading banks or other organizations around the world.
I think you've rightly said it. Tamir, would you like to highlight, what are we all have, all our participants are facing the regulation challenges, so what are the 3 solutions which you feel which are offered by Nutanix, especially in the BFSI adoption of cloud technologies?
Yeah, actually, I will leave the answer to Peter, but it's important. Yeah, but it's important to highlight one thing. I see that it's important to highlight it for most of the questions. Most of the team here, when we are talking about cloud, definitely in our mind it comes the public cloud.
But actually, when we think about it, we are talking about the cloud-like solution or the cloud features on-prem, if we can give that. I hear from Anand, if I'm not mistaken, that he see that the public cloud features are growing and there are many features, but he doesn't see that on-prem. What the Nutanix is giving actually is a cloud-like solution on-prem with the ability to integrate with the cloud, and we call it also multi-cloud solution. However, for your question specifically, and I will leave it to Peter to answer that.
Yeah, Peter, over to you.
Thanks, Tamer. Yeah, I think it's really important to, when we talk about cloud, to realize that the cloud is not the goal. You know, cloud is it's a means to an end. The end is normally what we're looking for is something which is, you know, easy to manage. You don't have to worry about all their underlying hardware and data centers and things, but it's not necessarily the goal in itself. And where the world is, and we saw this in London a number of years ago, probably in 2015, I went to a Gartner conference and everyone was talking about moving to the cloud, to the public cloud. And actually, when I left the UK a couple of years ago, a number of organizations were then starting to come back in and settling in this hybrid world where you've got some big benefits for the public cloud, agility, it's just there. You can be very agile, adopt new technologies, but then for on-prem solutions where you've got compliance requirements, you need to be close to your data. Sometimes it's better to have something local. So now to answer the question about, you know, how can Nutanix help with this? We have a number of tools, but maybe three that I'll mention is we have a product called CALM, which stands for Cloud Application Lifecycle Management. And what that allows you to do is create blueprints of your applications, which could be one VM, it could be a whole suite of virtual machines. And then you can make a choice on where you provision it. Do you want to go to Azure, to AWS, to on-prem, a mixture of both? And really what we're trying to be is be a platform that makes clouds invisible, where you get to choose, but you don't have to re-architect things all the time. Another one is around our security and compliance. So one of the challenges with the cloud or multi-clouds is how do you ensure it's secure? How do you know someone hasn't left a firewall port open or a VPC connection open and something's open on-prem and you've got thousands of firewall rules? We have a solution called Security Central, which you point to, you know, all your clouds, whether it's AWS, Azure, on-prem Nutanix, and it will continuously, in real time, give you a graphical view of your security posture, whether you're PCI compliant, whether you're HIPAA compliant, whatever policies you set up. So providing that global view of your security posture across multiple clouds is a very, very powerful tool.
I think a lot of the discussions that we have had have been surrounding the cloud and the engagement of cloud. I think everyone is pretty much aware that somewhere down the line, this engagement with cloud and with it going public cloud is going to come at some point. I think the most important thing here is that we need to emphasize is that it's coming, that we need to prepare. So not everything is also, as Sultan and Tamer have mentioned, for security reasons, not everything is going to go into the cloud. So transactional systems may not go into the cloud. So it's important that we bring it back into this hybrid type of cloud model, and also realize that, going into the public cloud will be a gradual thing. And obviously with Qatar government being very heavily invested with Microsoft Azure, and now also with Google coming, this is also going to give Qatar a real boost, because the data is actually going to reside within Qatar. So that is going to alleviate some of these issues and guidances and regulations that we have in place now.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, one other thing I think we should also say is that, one of the major things that obviously the pandemic has changed is the is not just the cloud, but also our journey to digital transformation and the journey to digital transformation. This has been a far quicker accelerator, and to move away from those non-traditional, data centers that we've all been used to over this time. So moving away from having, the firewalls in the data centers, because a lot of the interaction now is going digital with the introduction of working from home. A lot of the access is being done remotely. So, the importance of sort of security is paramount, not at the data center level, but also at the user level. So I think we need to put it in context, that, it's not just about cloud, but it's also about the journey to that. And that, I think that's where sort of Nutanix plays a great role in setting the foundation for that hybrid cloud journey.
I think you have rightly mentioned, a lot of time intentionally, unintentionally, we compromise on the data, while working remotely, which is very difficult. Peter, over to you. We are talking about cloud enterprise security and all, which is a major concern. And that's also a concern of the regulatory authorities also. What do you think are the most important factors, to be kept in mind when it comes to cloud enterprise security?
Yeah, so I think there's maybe three that I'll touch on. And the first one is keeping it as simple as it can be, but no simpler. So what I mean by that, if you're a hacker, hackers have a methodology, and the first thing they do is the reconnaissance phase. The second thing they do is the scanning phase. So what they're looking for is for holes, anything that's not patched, any mistake, any potential entry point. Now, if you've got a lot of silos, a lot of different technology, whether it's on-prem or off-prem, or a combination of them both, with lots of firewall rules going between your organization and the cloud, as an example, the more complex your environment is, the more likely it is that you've forgotten something. So a key theme with Nutanix, and I think in general, is try and keep the environment as simple as possible. The simpler it is, the more secure it's going to be, because you can get a grip. The second one is, I think we need to have a mindset nowadays, not, what if I get hacked, but think when I get hacked. We need to think that at some point your organization is going to get hacked, because that is probably a fact and has probably happened to many of us here. And it doesn't matter how big you are, you can be a Yahoo, every other week some big organization is in the news. So I think it's important to think, okay, we need to protect our perimeter, but we also need to think, when that bit of ransomware gets in, how do I mitigate the damage? And then we can look at technologies like micro-segmentation. But again, do that in a way which is simple. And I think the third one, which I've touched on earlier, is how do you get this global view of your security posture for your cloud, or your whether you're on cloud and on-prem? How do you have that global view? And I wouldn't, nothing's impossible, but it's almost impossible, I would say, to have someone manually checking all your environments and all your clouds to make sure that these ports are closed and these services haven't been started. So you really need to have some kind of tooling to help you do that. So keep it simple, think about how do you mitigate when you get hacked, and then how do you use tooling to get that global view of your multi-cloud universe.
I think you have raised the right points. Keep it simple, mitigate, and how do you... Mira, would you like to add on something to what Peter has just said, or about our discussions earlier about the cloud security issues?
Yes, actually, I have to agree with Hiten on the points that we should start getting ready. Sultan is ready that, he's right that we are, regulatory point of view, we are not ready in Qatar. There are lots of things missing, but as Hiten mentioned multiple times, it's really important that we look ahead. And as a couple of years ago, it was unimaginable that we are going to use Office 365 emails in the cloud in Qatar. Now this day it's here. So we are doing it, and many financial institutions are doing, and governmental as well. So the time will come. It's not a question of if, but it's the question of when. Now, meanwhile, what I believe is a problem is that our environments, we are not all as lucky as Anand that we have all our in-house developed applications, because that really gives an edge to the possibility for us to adopt technologies which are cloud ready natively. We are working with lots of third-party applications. Some of them are regulatory imposed applications where we have no any reach to the vendor to convert their application, because in cloud, data security is slightly different than it is in on-prem solutions. Like obviously there is data at rest and in traveling, but the way you reach data is quite different. And majority of our applications are not ready for such a access methodology. So in order for us to be able to move to the cloud, where I see companies like Nutanix, they don't. It's not just about these compliance tools and dashboards. It's for me, it means mainly the ability to run a hybrid setup. Like for instance, you can intermix virtual machines with containers, which gives an edge to mix legacy with new. And this is very important for the future, because getting to the cloud, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, but getting there starts reforming without any regulatory requirement internally. Most of the companies should start moving towards automation, standardization. There are different DevOps tools which help. They are multi-platform. They are not driven by only one single platform. They can be used on any environment. And this is the one which actually organizations should be focused today doing it. If this is not going to be there when QCB is going to give the green light for the cloud, then you are going to miss another year or two from this journey to get there. So strategies should be applied in a way that, yeah, we want to go to cloud. What is what we have, how we can go, what will be the first things to move? Obviously, everybody will move stuff which is not, let's say, sensitive from data point of view. So we are complying with regulatory requirements, but there are lots of things we can utilize for, let's say, front-ending services. We can take some DMZs in a hybrid environment, and technologies like Nutanix helps in this. And this actually, these are the things probably which we should focus on. Sure. So I do agree with the regulatory being maybe a little bit slower than usual. Obviously, they have the right own reasons to make sure to thoroughly set our guidelines correctly. But nevertheless, we should really start working on it by now to start the transformation.
I think, yeah, you rightly said, because cloud is something which is present, it's not the future. So we do understand that we have certain regulatory authorities which they're working on. And over to you, considering, the current scenario, what are the top 3 qualities, what you see as for a very strong and agile cloud enterprise plan?
You mean, Poonam, just to get more in details, 3 qualities from the cloud, from the technology point of view, or from the banking point of view, what we're looking at?
I would say technology, we will leave it to Nutanix to answer that. From the banking point of view, what are the top 3 qualities for a strong and agile cloud enterprise plan?
Absolutely. I think I really was enjoying the discussion with Sultan, Hiten, and the Peter Allward, trying to mention that, the regulation controls and the hybrid model, it all makes a lot of, positive to know that there are people thinking about it in the region and trying to see different solutions. The key challenges or the key points from the banking point of view, what I would say is that now is a world of, APIs and AIs, like You have API gateways. You can do it with IBM's or Google's. Everyone has an API gateway where you want to start giving your services, right? Now, these services, for me, I would prefer to do it in the cloud and try to pass it down to anyone I want, be it a fintech, be it a solution provider, be it a partner who I like to work with them together in the project, or any vendor. So if I need to do that, I need to have that capability in myself, in my IT team or my environment where it supports the cloud and this transfer of APIs, which we can use to monetize too. Tomorrow I can send my APIs to other partners. And the second thing is the AI world. I'll give an example. I was looking around the world to get a best chatbot or digital assistant solution for my bank. I was doing research with Gartner, all the key partners in the world. And you know what they came to me? Anup, the top 5 of the vendors are going only with cloud. And if I bring it here, I go to central bank, they say, no, you have to have it on premises. You can't have all your data. So again, it's a challenge for me. How do I mitigate this? So this is my answer to you. So there are the new technologies of AIs and APIs we want to work on, we want to move forward, but how cloud can help us, that's what Nutanix and GBMs, I would like to hear from them.
Then, would you like to add on, answer Anup's question, you know, how?
Absolutely, Anup, very well said. Basically, this transformation, which is what I like to refer to it as a digital transformation. A lot of the interaction is moving towards the cloud. And we've mentioned the journey that has already begun in terms of Office 365, in terms of the use of emails across the cloud. That is, we know that that's going to be extended. And it's basically a matter of time as to when that is extended. And with the adoption that the Qatar government is making in terms of, you know, making available the cloud in country is obviously going to help, but it's not going to be totally negated. And as you well said, there will be solutions, and we're using them actually. A number of solutions that we're using ourselves are now only in the cloud. So how do we get to see? How do we convince the regulatory QCB, as an example, how do we convince them that this needs to be extended? I mean, the major concern that has been raised with QCB is the use of customer data. You know, this has been the blocking factor that we have seen. So as long as these solutions do not go to private customer data, you know, they will allow the use. So I think you will see that gradual journey increasing.
But I think that's a huge challenge, you know, convincing QCB about the customer data and all. John, would you like to add on, you know, what according to you, we are talking about the challenges, you know, what according to you are the challenges which are faced within the organization, you know, bringing all the departments on board when it comes to establishing a cloud enterprise plan? Because we are talking about external challenges, but there are a lot of internal challenges within the organization as well. So would you like to, you know, give us some insights about that, please?
To share our experience on, you know, for many years now. And very specifically, we have, you know, adopted almost all of the clouds, including Azure, AWS, Oracle Cloud as well, for so many services that are provided by them. Just to highlight on those challenges, one is upscaling the resources, right? So to be very specific, that's the most important part for an IT operation perspective. Organization needs to ensure that they have a skilled resource in the team. It's not just because of the cloud. Even if you adopt any new technology, you need to ensure that the right team is there in the team to you know, support the operation. And second, on the strategy point of view as well, is going to make some you know, qualitative changes in the strategy, because the same security tools that you implement for the on-prem it may not work to full extent for the cloud, right? So you need to look at at different options in the the market to adopt new technologies for the cloud. So these are the two things, two challenges apart from other challenges. These are the two things that from an IT department perspective, right, operations perspective, that we need to give more priority on that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion, and it's been going from cloud strategy to digital transformation, and it's very interesting. One of the things that I believe is that I believe that yes, there should be a cloud strategy, and there should also be a digital transformation strategy. However, before we get to that, we keep on saying that there are issues with regulations. There are issues with regulations, and this is a fact. However, let's assume that today, as we speak, QCB comes and says cloud is open. One of the things that we, as the financial industry, have to ask ourselves, are we prepared to go? Do we have a strategy in place? We've been discussing strategy, and yes, how many of us are actually prepared if QCB comes and says, guys, green light, go ahead? And I think this is I think this is the starting point in order to address the main part, which is the cloud strategy and the regulations. Now, we cannot say that we can develop a 100% accurate strategy because we don't know what the regulation might come out, but we can start somewhere with a digital transformation strategy. And just as my colleague Hitin has been saying, Miroslav has been saying, Anand, it is a matter of time. It is here, it's just a matter of time to adopt. So if we don't actually start taking action and just developing a strategy in place so that when it comes, I think we're going to fall way behind in regards to keeping up with the market. Now, in regards to I believe that the cloud strategy should be part of the digital transformation strategy. Now, the two key aspects that I believe that should be worked on initially as part of the strategy are two parts: the people aspect and the process aspect. And this should be part of the organizational change management. I don't know how many organizations or how many banks actually have an organizational change management department or a strategy and transformation department. But because when we're talking about digital and we're talking about cloud, we're talking about a major impact in the internal operations of the organization. And if there is no assessment and change in regards to the people and the process, then you won't know where to start. So there has to be this impact analysis. The technology can follow later on, but you have to start with the strategy, the digital transformation strategy, the cloud strategy. Also, how are we going to mitigate the risks? I know I face these issues on a daily basis. Operational risk have a huge impact and have a huge, they're a major stakeholder when it comes to this digital transformation and adopting cloud strategy. And I think this is how it starts. This is my opinion on how we should start. And one final thing is that if banks show some sort of preparation and some sort of maturity when it comes to digital transformation and to cloud strategy and cloud transformation, will QCB be faster in making in passing a regulation for cloud? That's a question that I don't know how to answer that question. Maybe my colleagues can share their opinion about this. But if there's some sort of maturity that is showing, or I don't want to say there is a lack of maturity. I don't think that's fair. But if all banks combine together and the unify forces in regard and show some sort of well-defined strategy for digital transformation and cloud strategy, will QCB adopt the regulation as quickly as we hope?
Considering we are all talking about the current challenges, what we are facing in the cloud enterprises. We are talking about the regulations by the QCB, but we also see that there are a lot of opportunities in infrastructure modernization, which are being presented by the new emerging technologies. So Hiten, would you like to add on to that? How are the new emerging technologies, contributing as an opportunity in infrastructure modernization?
Thank you, Poonam. Actually, I wanted to also, I raised my hand earlier to just mention that from one of the things that we have been talking about quite a lot here is regarding, the security and the governance and that side. Actually, with the FIFA World Cup coming in 2022, the governments have already, and applied these, I think, to the banking sector as well, have introduced a number of initiatives from a security perspective that they have to actually introduce within the next 2 years. And this is obviously going to help in the acceleration of the adoption of these technologies that we're going to talk about. So some of it, what we're doing is we're transferring the security away, like from the internal side of the data center, and we're passing it to the edge, more to the user side. So, with the introduction of identity access management, with the introduction of privilege access management, with the introduction of two-factor authentication, all of these ideas and adoptions are actually going to help in this transformation. So I believe the government has taken it seriously, and obviously with FIFA being so strict on this, has also imparted this onto the governments and the banking institutions. So I just wanted to close that sort of security and governance topic. In terms of technology, I think it's obviously important that with the adoption of working from home, this is something that is being increasing. I'm working from home today with the increase of the pandemic in Qatar, and since I had my COVID vaccine a week ago, I'm just trying to remain safe. So this is something that's happening, and it's going to continue to happen. So today we might say 80-20, like 80% in the office and 20 at home. That is going to be lopsided to sort of 80% working from home and 20% working. So this is going to happen, and this is where sort of having that technology in place. I know that Nutanix have solutions in terms of virtual desktop infrastructure solutions, which actually help in this engagement. That's one. I think the second thing is, with everything now being virtual, we're moving away from that sort of physical touch that we used to have. We used to go shopping, in malls and that. Now you see with this pandemic coming in, that a lot of the shopping is being done virtual. So we need to be prepared for this technology, and I'm sure Peter and Tamariel can add to the technologies that Nutanix can enforce here.
So, thank you, Hiten. With this, I would like to personally thank each one of you for being part of this initiative and taking out time from your busy schedules. And now I would like to invite Peter. Peter, if you can, we had some wonderful discussions about the security, about the opportunities, about the challenges, what, our peers are facing. So I would like you to request to please, sum up a few key takeaways, because few of us have to, go for another meeting. So if you can just quickly sum up few key takeaways from today's conversation, and how can Nutanix help support our peers in this?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I just want to touch on what Mohammed said regarding digital transformation and cloud transformation. And I think when we're talking about a strategy, the strategy is really digital transformation, and the cloud is a tool in that. It is not the strategy itself. You know, lifting and shifting everything to the cloud has got some benefits and it's got some disadvantages. And what I've seen in, you know, when I was working in the UK was eventually the dust kind of settled with some stuff in cloud and some stuff on-prem. So, you know, just it's useful to keep in mind it's a means to an end. It's a tool, and you know the benefits of the cloud, the public cloud, are significant. You've got the agility; you can spin up workloads very quickly, and honestly, we need that agility to survive, because we're not really competing against the other big banks of the world now. We're competing against the fintechs and the startups who can bring out the chatbots and all this fancy stuff that consumers want very quickly. And as an established organization, it's much, much harder to be as agile. So there are huge advantages of the cloud. One thing we've seen in other geographies is when people try and lift everything from on-prem and put it in the cloud, over the time, they find that actually the cost of that can be significant. Now, there's areas that make a lot of sense. John talked about, you know, DR, you know, makes a huge amount of sense when you've got containerized applications. But, and I did this exercise a few weeks ago. If you just lift and shift all your legacy virtual machines and put it in AWS or Azure, you're going to notice the cost. And I think what you'll find in a few years is things will start to come back. So what Nutanix offers, and really our focus as a company, is to provide you a seamless management plane with the flexibility to have, you know, VMs, containers, services running on-prem or off-prem in the public cloud, but manage it through a simple platform. Because, you know, none of us can predict where we will be in 5 years from now. The world is changing so quickly, and what we're trying to do is give you this open source, you know, platform based on open source that will give you the flexibility. And the last thing I'll touch on, and Anne said at the start that there's a growing gap between on-prem and off-prem. And that's very true when you look at the traditional on-prem solutions, which are hardware-based. You know, you buy a hardware appliance, in 5 years, it's going to be a 5-year-old appliance. Nutanix is a purely software company. So in 5 years from now, whatever solution you've bought has evolved, you know, as time goes on. And that switch to software cloud-like solutions is very much where we're playing. So thanks everyone for your time. It's been really interesting hearing from everyone.
Thank you very much, each one of you. And we would like to thank Nutanix and GBM. And we sincerely hope that this discussion has helped you gain insights on leading through your digital transformation journey. Thank you very much, and have a great day and stay safe